All right, so you know how sometimes you just feel kind of blah, like
Mhm.
something's just off, but you can't quite put your finger on it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like a
No.
low-grade funk you just can't shake.
Exactly. That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
The idea of malaise. It's a word that gets tossed around a lot,
All
but
right.
what does it actually mean? You know?
Yeah, it's one of those terms that feels familiar, but when you try to define it, it can get a little slippery.
Totally.
Yeah.
So to get a better handle on it, we've gathered up some definitions and descriptions, and we're going to unpack them.
Yeah. Let's see if we can pin this thing down.
All right, so the first definition we've got says malaise, a feeling of unease or depression.
Okay.
And, honestly, I think we've all felt that at some point, right?
Absolutely. But it's important to note here, I think that malaise isn't exactly the same as clinical depression, right? It's more like a general sense of discomfort or dissatisfaction, kind of a feeling that things are just a bit off. You know what I mean?
Right, like something's not quite right,
Yeah.
but you can't pinpoint exactly what it is.
Yeah. Exactly. And that leads us to the second definition we have, which says a mild sickness not symptomatic of any disease or ailment.
Okay, now this is interesting because it's like you feel sick, but there's no obvious cause.
Right. It's that lack of a clear explanation that can make malaise so frustrating. You
Yeah.
feel it, but you can't really articulate it.
And because of that, you don't know how to fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what can make it so persistent. It just kind of lingers in the background.
Right, like a low hum you can't quite tune out.
Exactly. And this next definition really expands our understanding of malaise in a fascinating way. Are you ready for this one?
Okay, lay it on me.
It says a complex of problems affecting a country, economy, etc.
Whoa, okay, so now we've gone from like a personal feeling to something much bigger. A whole country or an economy can experience malaise.
Right. It's like this collective sense of stagnation or unease, and it's often driven by underlying social or economic or political issues. Think about historical periods that were marked by widespread uncertainty or disillusionment.
Okay, so it's like those times when things just feel stuck, like there's no forward momentum.
Exactly. And it can affect everything from individual motivation to national progress.
It's really fascinating to me how a word that describes such an internal feeling can also apply to these huge systems.
It is interesting. It makes you wonder if these different levels of malaise, the personal and the societal, are somehow connected.
Right, because if one person feels it, does that contribute to the overall feeling? Or is it the other way around, where societal malaise makes individuals feel that way more?
That's a great question. I think it's likely a bit of both. Personal feelings of malaise can definitely be amplified when there's a broader sense of stagnation or uncertainty in society as a whole.
Right.
But at the same time, widespread societal malaise can definitely contribute to those feelings of powerlessness or anxiety in individuals. You know what I mean?
That's like a feedback loop.
Absolutely. And it makes you think, if malaise at either level is like a sign that something needs to change, how do we even begin to address something that complex and with so many different facets?
That is the million-dollar question. So, how do we start tackling this? How do we break out of that funk, whether it's personal or on a larger scale?
Well, there's no easy answer, unfortunately. But I do think that just recognizing malaise for what it is a crucial first step. It's a signal, a call for attention.
So instead of ignoring it, we need to pay attention to it.
Exactly. Whether it's examining, engaging with the broader systems around us that are contributing to this feeling of malaise, acknowledging that something needs to shift, that's gotta be the starting point for any meaningful change,
Okay, so the takeaway here is don't just brush it off. Malaise is telling us something.
Absolutely. And listening to that message could be the key to getting unstuck. You know what I mean?
So the next time you feel that vague sense of unease or you hear someone talking about malaise, remember, it's not just a fleeting feeling. It's much deeper than that. It affects us on both a personal and a societal level. And maybe it's a call for us to look closer at what needs to change.
I think you nailed it.
All right. That's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.
See you then.